young startups looking to secure funding, VC funds are not the sole provider of capital to get ventures off the ground, but rather institutional investors are often the first step, along with a host of other intermediary agents. Alexander Groh, a visiting professor at IESE, takes a closer look at the criteria used by these institutional investors for sorting through the various funds and allocating capital.
Actually, you have to imagine that a VC is, well, we call it an intermediary. He's in the middle. He's an intermediary, and the VC collects money from investors on one side. And on the other side, there's corporations that demand for this money. The VC is in between. So what he does is he asks investors, would you like to invest in my VC fund? The VC fund is called the limited partnership. That's the legal construction. So he's collecting money on one side, and having collected this money, he actively seeks startup, young corporations that have potential, that he believes are growing fast in the future, have a lot of market potential, have a new product, innovative corporations. He actively seeks them and provides money to them. The number of adequate or of corporations or new founded corporations that deserve or that qualify for VC backing is very small. It's maybe 1 or 2% of all the new corporations that are founded. It's these Microsofts, these Intels, these Apples, Googles, eBays, all these kind of corporations. It's not the small ones, it's with these potential. And why should these corporations ask for VC money? The simple reason is they have no choice. If you have a big idea and you have to develop it fast, quickly, like in computer technology, like in pharmaceutical or medicine technology, green energy right now. Yeah, so if you have an idea for a new product or a new a new technology in green field or green energy in the green energy segment, well, you're competing with Siemens, Vattenfall, E.ON, General Electric. You're competing with these corporations. And imagine what is your power against these corporations. So what you need is resources to develop your idea quickly. If you don't have that, you will fail anyway. So the idea is for startup corporations to stay independent and to get the necessary funding to develop a product to market as quickly as possible. So the most important thing for these investors when they invest in these VC intermediaries, when when they allocate their money into a VC fund is, well, on an international level, let's start with the international level. So where to allocate our capital in the world. And the most important thing for them is first, how well are they protected? And if an institutional investor decides to allocate his money in a particular country due to the assumption that his rights are well protected, there is growth, there are opportunities in the future, there is technology, there is spirit, entrepreneurial spirit among the people. Is there an entrepreneurial class? Are there people in a country that want to become entrepreneurs? If that's not the case, well, we need to invest there. So this is first a geographic segmentation of an institutional investor. And then follows how these investors select funds, so the venture capital intermediaries. And then these investors, they focus on the, well, on the knowledge, on the reputation, on the education, on the entrepreneur, on the skills of the local VC funds. And what we also found is that the fees being paid to the venture capitalists do not play such an important role in the business, which is quite surprising because the fees are high. So the venture capitalist charges large fees for his work. But the institutional investors are aware of that. They know that the whole system only works, the whole VC principle only works if people earn enough money. Those investors who are on a superior level of the intermediary relationship, in some cases, as I described, There's one investor directly investing into the VC fund. But in other cases, there is one investor here who invests in another fund, who invests in another fund, who invests into the VC fund. And these investors are further away from the investment than those. And these investors here, who are closer to the actual business, they focus more on the entrepreneurial capacities, on the management quality of the VC funds. That's the only slight difference we found. Agency conflict means you have on one side a principal and on the other side an agent. And the principal, he's the owner of something. And he delegates a job to the agent. So the agent does a service, does a job for the principal. That's called delegated management. The VC, by himself, is an agent because he has the investor on one side. So the investor wants the VC to work for him. So the investor gives the money to the VC. VC is collecting the money. And as soon as he has the money, what is his incentive? If the VC does good investments on behalf of his investors, he receives what is called the carried interest. He receives 20% of the gains with each investment. And that's, for a VC, where the big money comes from. And on the other side, we have exactly the same thing. The VC is the principal of all the companies he invests in. If he wants to come and to stay in business, they need to adapt to the preferences and to the expectations of institutional investors. And these expectations are quality orientated, management ability orientated. So what's needed for a VC is to hire or to have a team which has experience, which already has a track record, which has some local experience. The most important thing is a long-lasting track record and a long-lasting strategy.